Hello everyone, my name is Caden and welcome to Chaos Head Noah. Or I should say welcome back to Chaos Head Noah. Yeah, it's been a while. A lot of things kind of happened in a combination of kind of a lost passion for the game for doing this and kind of other stuff, but I feel like I've gained the passion again to start up, as well as now I've actually got the time to do it. So let's try this again. We are just going to start from the beginning. I will say that. We could just start where we left off, but I think it'd be better if we just start from the beginning because of two reasons. One, I've already forgotten everything, so this is still going to be blind, and I'd argue. And second, I'm also using the unofficial decensoring patch, which apparently restores a lot of content that was removed because of being censored. And I didn't play through the first episode with that patch on, so we're going to be seeing it with the patch on now. So yeah, we're just going to be, yeah, let's do it. Start. I don't imagine any problems are going to happen by having it done this way, but the gaze rains down from the sky. Those eyes are always watching me. The stare pierces through the thick, pitch-black rain clouds and pours down on me like rain. Don't look at me. My body won't stop shivering, not from the chill of the rain, but rather the ice-cold rubble pressing against my back. So terribly cold. A gaze pierces me from the heavens. Who it belongs to, I can't say. As if to escape it, I raise my head to look at the environment around me. There I see a ruined city. There I see despair. There I see death. There I see nothingness. Not a soul's there. Not a soul's moving. Not a soul is left alive. The only thing I can hear is the sound of the rain continuing to pour. At this rate, everything, both the living and the dead, would it all be gently embraced and washed away? How nice it would be if all of this was just a delusion. That doesn't seem to be the case. I can't move my body. I can only move my eyes and neck, and even then just barely. My body's shivering. That's nothing more than a physiological phenomenon. It isn't happening by my own will. I don't want my body to tremble. If I can't move it freely, then it isn't my body. Or maybe I've never had free will ever since I was born. Nobody knows exactly where the soul resides. Bearing that in mind, how can anyone say there is a soul inside this body of mine? But then where exactly am I now? Am I really here? Am I anywhere at all? In the shattered world, where all stands still, where all that can be heard is the rain of death, suddenly, another sound echoes through it. A single solitary existence begins to emerge from the sea of nothingness. Who are you? Is your skin so pale? Has it been numbed by the chill of the rain? Or is it because you're already dead? And yet, girl isn't shivering. And those eyes of hers, nearly hidden by her bangs. Don't look at me. They look so terribly sad. They look as if they hold a hint of madness. They look as if they reflect nothing. If she and I were the only ones left in the world, if we stared into each other's eyes, this for all eternity, would my world be reduced to the reflection in her eyes? Would her world be reduced to the reflection in my eyes? The only thing reflected in her eyes is me. The only thing reflected in my eyes is her. When I think of it that way, the world immediately seems so much smaller. Hey. Suddenly, a flash of static reaches my ears. One endlessly beautiful yet deeply discordant. She lowers her head and spreads her arms wide, almost as if preparing to take off, soar high above the rain clouds, or as if trying to catch all the falling rain. All that's watching you is a delusion. From where I am on the ground, I can't see the expression on that lowered head of hers. Behind this thin veil of rain, just what kind of face are you making? I'll put you to rest now. An angel? Are those dancing feathers of light blessing me? Or... I see. I finally understand. She's going to use that to kill me. Girl slowly kneels to the ground, right before my collapsed body, with her head still lowered. She gently takes my own in her hands. I surrender my body to her grasp. I'm just relieved that she isn't looking at me. In my ear I hear a whisper, garbled by static. It's as beautiful as it is discordant, but I can't make it out very well. A warm, soft, gentle, sweet sensation. And miraculously, as if it were an anesthetic, the shivering in my body slowly begins to die down. Her soft breath tickles my cheeks. It smells so sweet. Suddenly, I sense something pressing against my chest. The large sword she holds tears through my skin, bores into my flesh, weaves through my bones, and slowly sinks through to the center of my body. But
Gifted with the anesthesia of her kiss. I no longer feel any pain. I would never have imagined I'd get such a kind death. The thought of it breaks my heart, leaving me on the verge of tears, trying to hide them. I look past the girl's head, up toward the ashen sky, where the rain continues to pour. Is the sky blurring because of the rain? Because of my tears? I don't feel that gaze anymore. I don't feel anything anymore. As my consciousness fades away, I reach my hand toward the sky. Somebody, please tell me. Just where did that sky of ours have gone?
Okay, I completely forgot about that. Imagine if the delusion becomes reality. I do remember that there's a whole thing about delusions. I also kind of remember this intro freaking me out a little bit, I think. I guess I also forgot to mention that this game, well, it's probably obvious by now, but this game's made by the same guys who made the Steins Gate series. I think technically this came out before Steins Gate. Technically? I might be wrong on that, but I think. I'm also gonna have to adjust audio later, probably. But that will be an issue I deal with later. Strange weapons. I don't even remember where I left off, to be honest with you. Again, I don't really remember anything. I remember the character designs. Aside from that, I can't really say I remember too much more. And like I said, I remember this intro freaking me out for some reason. Chaos Head Noah. Chapter 1. Eyes in Eyes. Oh yeah, and I should mention, I am using a guide, like that same site that I got the unofficial community patch for. I couldn't see the gaze. Is this auto text? Nope. I couldn't see it, even though it was watching me. It was strange. For as long as I could remember, I sometimes felt like I was being watched by some mysterious gaze. But whenever I turned to look, there was never anyone there. Still, I was convinced that someone was watching me. I could tell by the chills that ran down my neck. Was I just being too self-conscious? Or did I just have a fear of being watched? Way back in elementary school, I thought of it differently. That gaze is God watching over me. And I genuinely believed it too. I'd even written an essay about it back then. In retrospect, I must have just had a bad case of chunibyo. But now it hurt me just thinking about it. If anyone were to read it now, I'd probably shut myself away from the society for the rest of my life. Pooey. I could still remember the title of that essay. Whose eyes are those eyes? My chair groaned hoarsely as I leaned back. Don't look at me. I muttered that toward the gloomy ceiling, irritated. Naturally, there was no response. This was my room. I lived here alone.
Aside from me, of course, there wasn't a single person here. I tried turning around. My room was dim and cluttered, with various belongings stacked all the way to the ceiling.
There's a mess in here.
The only source of light in the room was the desk lamp near my PC. There weren't any windows, so the darkness should come as no surprise. And since you couldn't see outside, you couldn't even tell whether it was night or day. I started speaking into the dark corners of my room. My name is Nishijo Takumi, 17, and I'm in my second year at Suime Academy. Not like I really go to school much, though. That's just because I study from home. As long as I come in to take the tests, I can ace them all just fine. I'm pretty smart, you know. It wasn't like talking to myself would accomplish anything. It was like anyone was going to show up out of nowhere. The darkness just kept on sitting there and being darkness. Still, darkness was delusion fuel. After all, the unseen might as well be the unknown. In the darkness, even if you knew it was impossible, you couldn't help but wonder if something might be there, lurking in the shadows. This wasn't helping at all. It was only making my own creepy delusions worse. Why did I do this to myself? To get off the topic, I decided to keep monologuing. Right now, I'm deep in enemy territory. I'm living in Shibuya. This is the Kurenai Conference Hall. It's owned by my dad's property management company. But I'm just renting out a cheap shipping container on the roof. The area around here really does suck, though. I'm in Shinshen, which means a lot of small hills. It's exhausting. And if that weren't bad enough, the Love Hotel district is right around the corner. If only I lived in Akiba instead. Now that'd be epic. Seriously though, Shibuya is such a horrible city. It's as shitty as Dennis Valley and ESO. ESO was the name of an MMORPG that was basically my life. One thing I do remember is that... Oh, not that button. I don't even remember... Oopsie daisy, that was not at all the button I meant to press. I hit the wrong button, if you can tell. The tips list. I know that we have this. There's probably a whole bunch of ones that are already like filled in because of the last playthrough, but aside from that, I don't remember anything else. And even the ones that did change, and even then, like most of these are changed from the official translation by the unofficial patch, so if it says it's going to be new up top, and does green means okay. Green means that. Let's see. We'll go ahead and just read it. Rogue, 18 plus video games that have been popular ever since the late 1980s, featured mainly on PC. While they may be referred to as video games, the gameplay primarily consists of reading text. This text is often accompanied by character sprites, backgrounds, as well as special illustrations known as CGs, aka computer graphics. The genre involves the player growing closer to the main heroines and experiencing sexual events with them over the course of the story. These events occasionally include subjects such as coercion and even ho-hee-ha. Okay. Despite the adult content of the source material, several anime have been made based on these games, many of which have established a cult following. I haven't seen these words actually said, so we'll wait on them. And then we gotta use the backlog to... I hit the E button and I didn't expect it to ultra speed it up. Whoops. ESO was the name of an MMORPG that was basically my life. Its full title is Empire Sweeper Online. I'd dive into Baselord, that's the world of ESO, pretty much every day at this point. Sacrificing sleep in the process, of course. Dennis Valley was a region in ESO that was full of annoying mobs. They had super hard, and yet they couldn't even be bothered to drop any decent loot. Only idiots went there to grind. Every vet worth a shit would go to the Vorse of Lied instead. It was a much better place to grind, and it was right nearby. Of course, that was where I went. Like I was saying, the city is full of DQUNs and egotistical douchebags looking for an easy lay. I should just get demolished already. So long as I'm in the comfort of my own room, though, I don't need to put up with any of that. I have a top-of-the-line PC and super fast internet, and that's all I need. It's all any student could ever need, really. Oh, right. That's why I call this room my base. As always, there wasn't a single living creature in here except me. Realizing how ridiculous I sound talking to myself like this, I decided to stop introducing myself to whoever was watching me. Still though, this room is a total mess. The whole room reeked of rot. I could feel the stagnating air crawling on my skin. Empty soda bottles and boxed lunches from the convenience store were scattered all over the floor. Also, my bed was covered in piles and piles of eroge. Thanks to that, I always slept on the couch instead. Yeah, these were the old saves, but we're just gonna save over them. I'll probably just try and delete those later. Seriously, this place is a pigsty. The game just crashed. I kid you not, the game just crashed. Well, this actually reminds me that this should not be here. I am very glad I just saved. I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes I feel like this playthrough is a cursed one for me because anytime I try and do it, there's always been something that comes up that's a problem. I still want to do the game, it's just, I also can't lie, part of this feels cursed. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. Just let me load up the save that we just had. Seriously, this place is a pigsty. The hell makes a mess like that? Oh, me. Up with my own creepy laugh, I took out my frustration on a plastic bottle lying by my feet. Goodbye, bottle. The ball ricocheted off the wall and flew straight toward my shelf of perfectly organized figures. With a shriek, I leapt out of my chair to catch it. Never let anyone lay a finger on my hundred-ish waifus, daughters, and older sisters. These girls were my darlings. Just looking at them soothed my aching heart. I made sure to tidy up their shelf once a week. It's the only place in the room I ever cleaned. I was always looking for the best ways to display their cuteness. I would constantly rotate and reposition them, trying to create the ultimate layout. Naturally, if I let them get dusty, then the whole thing would be ruined, so I always made sure to clean them regularly. Breathing a sigh of relief, I tossed the bottle aside and turned back to my PC. Kept my beloved PC enshrined at the back end of my room. Next to my monitor was Seraton, 1/8 scale, reawakening version. A figure from my current favorite anime, Bloodtoon, the animation. She sat there striking a moe pose at me. If this game starts crashing a lot, I'm going to be very scared. Moe, pronounced moe, in otaku culture, refers to feelings of affection, adoration, or excitement toward characters, typically female in manga, anime, video games, and other media, also used to describe particular character traits, including flaws like glasses, clumsiness, or dizziness. The term is often used interchangeably with the word cute, or even as a verb. Example being like, I mowed over her for like an hour? Also used to refer to the culture of entertainment centered around things that are moe. Such media has become so popular that the term has entered a lexicon of otaku not only in Japan, but across the world. Okay. Honorifics. Japanese employs a system of name suffixes that define the speaker's relationship to the addressee. The common honorifics are as follows. San. The most common honorific, used with strangers, people of equal status, and in general whenever one needs to be polite. When used after the given name, like Takumi-san, it indicates a closer relationship. Kun, an informal name suffix generally used for male friends or male subordinates. Also used by males or female subordinates in professional environments. Chan, a
diminutive suffix that indicates high affection, usually used for small children, young girls, or between close female friends. Tan, an even more diminutive version of the chan suffix, most often used for fictional characters, especially I'm gonna have a stroke trying to read this word. Anthropomorphizations, there we go, for added cuteness. And chin, yet another diminutive version of the chan suffix, most often used by young girls, is a more cutesy way to refer to friends. I feel like I was gonna have a suffix pronouncing one word.
Sarah,
you're so cute, Sarah. Staring longingly into Saratan's eyes, I grabbed a nearby bottle of cola and took a sip. It was lukewarm, but I didn't care. Alright, let's get back to the ESO. I sat back down and plopped my hands onto the keyboard, just assuming that position made me feel relaxed. My character in ESO, Neidhart, was a paladin. I'd already leveled him up to the max and reset twice. Right now, he was back to the max level, 50. That's the highest rank you could reach on official servers. ESO players far and wide knew me as lightning fast Neidhart. They treat me like a god. I already had all the rare weapons, armor, and magic. I still only had 95% of the total rare items. But whatever. It's still a work in progress. I had so much gold that I didn't even know what to do with it. Well, aside from RMT, real money trading, which I made a living off of. Even if I had stopped grinding right now, I'd still have enough to keep living like this for half a year. Aside from just ESO stuff, I was particularly adept at chatting online. It was the only source of social interaction I ever got, after all. I gave advice on the huge anonymous forum @channel. I posted in epic threads too, of course. Oh yeah, I had over 100 friends on Freypara, a social network I used. Respect. Trust. I had it all right here. I didn't go to school. It wasn't so much that I didn't want to, and more that I had no reason to. I could study anything online. School's completely useless when you get everything done from home. Well, I did need to attend every once in a while, or else I wouldn't earn enough credits to graduate. And that was why I went to school as little as I possibly could. That was the smartest way for a student to live. My parents always nagged me about it, though. To make things easier, I'd invented the minimum attendance chart. According to the chart, I only needed to attend 2 to 3 times a week. Other students would always make fun of me for being an otaku freak, but as far as I was concerned, they were the stupid ones for going to school every day. Maybe try thinking for once yourself, dipshits. Tips. The Japanese word for fanatic, nerd, enthusiast, or hobbyist, an all-encompassing term for people with an obsessive interest in a particular topic. Most often refers to fans of anime, manga, and video games, but there's also train otaku, military otaku, electronics otaku, etc. While the word may have held negative connotations in the past, it has become far less negative over time, with many otaku claiming the term as a badge of honor. All in all, my life here really isn't all that bad. Oh, whoops. I've been so busy thinking about the gays, I forgot I was in the middle of chatting with Grim. What do we have here? Are you... Grim, you okay? You're not replying. AAK? Or something? Yo, Neidhart. We have Butterfly, Coco Chat, ESO, Do Not Open, Recycle Bin, Data, Miku, Data, Sound Data, Epic Finds, Save Data. Ooh, getting fancy. All this data and then you get save data. Sorry, I was checking something. Garen was the handle of one of my ESO friends. I talked to him all the time online, though I never met him IRL. He had a keen eye for useful information, so I could generally rely on him to keep me in the loop. I sat back down and started tapping out a response. Do I, Oh, okay. I was about to say, do I need to click
Might be, and nah, I didn't fall asleep, just zoned out for a sec, lol. Guess you must be really tired. Do you not get enough sleep? Or do you just stay up all late doing the dirty with your GF, lol? Up all night every night. Come on, you know I'm not into 3D raffle. Two of us chatted about all sorts of things, and since it was all anonymous, I was comfortable with talking about pretty much anything. I never act like this IRL, obviously. Alright, you like 2D, and by 2D you mean eroge? What is up with you and lewd shit, lol? Me, you're the guy that has porny delusions all the time. You literally were just going on and on about girls in school swimsuits, remember? Oh boy. I was? I definitely don't remember that. Anyway. If that's what we're talking about, then here's my take on it. School swimsuit plus glasses equal perfection. Oh, choices. School swimsuit plus glasses equal... I mean... Sure, I guess. It's not a real school swimsuit unless there's a name tag on the chest. No. That just seems weird. In the end, what really matters is the camels... Stop it! Now! The swimsuit glasses combo should be the default. The name tag is unnecessary, though. No respectable individual gives two shits. Some rave over... I don't really think that it matters that much in the grand scheme of things. Slow down, man. You like girl with glasses. That's your type. No, I just pair well with swimsuits. Usually you'd take your glasses off for swimming, right? But she doesn't. And that leaves all sorts of rooms for my delusions to work. Well, your libido is deaf at full throttle today, but that's what makes you you, Nightheart, lol. I should be disgusting, yet... lol. But go back. What do you mean that's what makes you you? I mean, yeah, I guess I went a bit crazy there. I'm still trying to maintain a cool image for myself. You? Cool? What are you laughing at? Anyway, what were we talking about before I went AFK? It was probably just something to do with ESO. Did you seriously forget? There was an incident IRL recently. An incident IRL? I remembered something like that, but what was it? Shogun has joined the room. Current user 3. Greetings, Lord Shogun. What's up? I introduced myself, but there was no reply from the user named Shogun. What was up with that? Was he ignoring me? And I was being so friendly to him, too. Do you know who he was talking to? I'll have you know I'm the lightning-fast Nightheart. Lurking wasn't even allowed here. Well, whatever. Might as well just ignore him. I guess that was another great thing about the internet. There's no need to worry about pointless etiquette. Random man joins the server. Anyway, what were you saying, Grim? I was talking about those cases that have been all over the news lately. Like, I know what's happening IRL. Probably something stupid, right? Pretty much, yeah, it's pretty shocking, though. Shocking. Must have been some real grisly murder, then. There have been a few here and there recently. You're not gonna send me gore again, are you? What, can't handle a little gore, Nightheart? Lol. I mean, there's nothing I can't handle. Still, I really don't want to see it. Lately, though, it hadn't been easy to avoid that kind of stuff. People were always trying to trick others and clicking on nasty stuff like gore or some kind of creepy edit. And once you fell for it, you couldn't unsee it. Well, I think I'm used to it by now. Sort of. They call you the Great Paladin and all of Baselard, lol. I don't PK, though. PK stands for player kill. In other words, it's when you go around in MMOs killing randos and stealing their gold and gear. So, typical DQN stuff.
I'm no troll, and I don't stoop to their level either. And just in general, I try to avoid breaking ESO's rules. It goes against my policy. Well, except for the rules that prohibited RMT. I broke those all the time. Wow, calm your tits there, almighty hero, Lamel. I'm sure you've heard of New Gen, right? New Gen? New Gen? What was that? Had he ever mentioned it before? Grim was talking like I should have already known about it. New Gen? What's that? The hell is New Gen? The New Generation Madness. People call it New Gen online. It's a name for the mysterious set of incidents happening in Shibuya. It's all up in your neighborhood, lol. Oh, now that you'd mentioned it, I did feel like I'd heard somewhere. Well, all I knew was that they existed. I hadn't looked into them at all. Huh. Interesting. Delude! 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 I tried googling New Gen, and instantly got a few results. Delude! Sorry. I'm going crazy. Let's see here. Social news. Madness explodes in today's youth. The New Gen, late at night, September 7th, blah 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 blah. Group suicide. What the f... Looks like New Gen is the name for 2 incidents in Shibuya that happened in the past month. Including a fetus, there have been 7 victims. Okay? Okay! The first incident was the group dive, where 5 friends jumped off a skyscraper. Jesus Christ. That's just tomato sauce, don't worry about that. And the second one, a fetus was found... I had completely forgotten about that one. Nice. Fetus was found inside a man's body. Oh, are you serious? A chill ran down my spine. Before I'd even realized it, I turned around and was looking around my room again. There were a bunch of results for New Gen on Taboo News, so I went to skim through them. New Generation Madness. The incidents that had the entire internet in an uproar. There have been 2 of them so far. One of them was so brutal, several TV channels didn't even describe the crime out loud. The first incident, the group dive, had been initially thought to be a suicide, but rumors had since risen that it may not have been. Parents and friends of the 5 victims all said the same thing. None of the victims had shown any signs of planning to commit suicide, and they hadn't had any reason to do so either. And on top of that, some physical evidence had been found too. Physical? Had a quick look. Well, like something out of a creepypasta, right? You shit yourself yet? Not really. I don't care, to be honest. Here, take a look at this. I'd rather not, mate. What is it? This is a picture of one of the victims' corpses. Here, my good old friend, old pal, buddy of mine. Look at this dead body. Thanks, Grim. I'm glad to see you living up to your name. He's getting a kick out of this. He did stuff like this from time to time. If I wanted to keep up my reputation as the great Neihard Baselar, I couldn't let it faze me. Unlike in the real world, I was a god in the world of ESO. I was the strongest, wisest, and most noble knight in all the land. Mocking me would be a fool's errand. And so, gathering up whatever courage I had, I clicked the link. Oh god. Thanks, genius. Oh, it's just some shitty doodle. Thanks. Lamau, I got baited. Who did this? Huh. You! I drew it in like 2 minutes. You! Crushed. Damn, the god of art finally showed himself to us mortals. Rawful. Anyway, not gonna lie, I'm dead tired, so I think I'm gonna go pass out. Good night. See you tomorrow on Baselard. Come to think of it, that Shogun guy had been here the entire time. I completely forgot about him. Not that I cared, though. Well, I don't really feel like sleeping yet, so I guess I'll farm an ESO for a bit. Wait, no, the new episode of Bloodtoon comes out today. didn't have a TV in my room, so I just made do with my PC.
あと15分
15
ぐらい
minutes
か
to go. Might as well
その
go
前
to
に
the
トイレでも行っておこう
bathroom
か
while
な
I wait. I took a quick look at Sarah next to my monitor. I get to see Saraton today. I couldn't wait. With that on my mind, I made my way over to close the chat window.
あれ
Huh? Shogun had sent a message. That seems... Oh...
なんだよ
What
こい
the...
つ急に
He actually posted. So he wasn't just a lurker. Judging by the file extension, it looked like an image link. A sudden link posted by a suspicious stranger that hadn't sent a single message until now. I gulped instinctively. I couldn't explain why, but I had a bad feeling about it. A feeling unlike anything I'd ever felt in all my time on the internet. I really didn't want to click on it. I clicked my tongue and glanced at the clock. My rendezvous with Saraton was in 12 minutes. I should probably get this conversation over with quickly. Lol, what kind of bait and switch is this, Lamau? I don't speak German. Whoa, whoa, what's with the German, lol? I was trying my best to act calm and casual. To be honest, I really didn't want to chat with a shady guy like this. I was so uncomfortable that I could feel a cold sweat forming. He was saying something like, the world changes if you click it? Seriously, what was his deal? The world changes if you click it. And why in German, though? If the guy only spoke German, I definitely wouldn't be able to deal with him. Sorry for startling you. Huh, so he actually could speak normally. I relaxed a little bit. The world changes if you click it. I don't want to... Don't worry, you're fine. Don't worry. Any reason for lurking? Did someone give you the you need to lurk for 6 months before posting spiel? I was thinking... By the way, where are you chatting from? For some reason, there was a short pause. Shibuya. Oh, that's awfully coincidental. All at once, images of those gruesome new gen incidents flashed through my head. Even though I hadn't actually seen any photos, I could picture them so vividly that I was almost like I'd been there myself. The man's torn up stomach, the lifeless fetus shoved inside. The 5 people that dove off the building, instantly turning into a pulpy, inhuman puddle upon hitting the ground. Just thinking about it was almost enough to make me puke. I shook my head violently, as if to shake the gruesome delusion out of my head. This Shogun guy was so suspicious I couldn't stop the paranoid delusions from forming. What was he trying to drag me into? Same here. Looks like a lot of weird incidents have been happening lately, huh? More are coming. What? Shibuya's so scary.
なんだこれ
What's that? Fun to the 10th power times intelligence to the 40th power equals IR2. Was this Shogun guy some kind of Denpa nut job? What's Denpa? A term used to refer to individuals who act or speak in a way that is commonly regarded as incoherent, nonsensical, or disconnected from the world around them. The term comes from the Japanese word denpa, which translates literally to electromagnetic waves. This is because people in this category often believe that they are hearing voices, thoughts, or instructions in their head via electromagnetic radiation. That's terrifying. What? I also make sure to save here. I've never seen that formula before in my life. And when you were as smart as me, that was saying something. I tried looking it up. In this day and age, there were all sorts of information on the internet, so it'd be easy to find.
あれ
Huh.
ヒットし
I'm
ない
not
な
getting any results. Was he trying to act smart by typing some nonsense formula? Fuck if I know. This formula has killed the world's possibilities. What? What does that mean? What are you trying to say? And what was that link from earlier? Should I just take the bait already? Well, I thought it might interest you. These are all different images. Look at the number. The number... could you stop posting? All of a sudden, the chat was flooded with links. Just who was this guy? Was he trying to scare me for shits and giggles? Maybe he was a friend of Grimm's and they'd team up to mess with me. Feeling the gaze again, I took a look around the room. Surprise, surprise, all that was behind me was darkness and clutter, as per usual. I was hit with an unnatural sense of dread. The feeling of perpetually being watched left me feeling restless. I'm terrified that it's just going to turn around and there's going to be someone there and I'm going to freak out. Don't look at me. And upon saying that, I realized that my own voice was trembling. It was almost like the cluttered room I knew so well had transformed into someplace completely foreign. If you've ever had to go to the bathroom at night after watching a horror movie or listening to a ghost story or something, you may know the feeling of being unnerved or even terrified by the dark hallways of your own home. I was close to how I felt right now. Damn it, you think that shitty Pete's gonna face me? In spite of my shuddering, I faced the monitor, leaned in, and... before I knew it, with the slightest twitch of my index finger, I clicked one of the links. I'm scared. No, wait. I really had no clue how it happened. It wasn't like my hand had been possessed by some unnatural force or something. I just sort of done it without thinking. Even though I knew full well that it'd be a mistake, I clicked it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. What is this? The image that filled my monitor was like some kind of modern art piece. An arrangement of spikes, like the quills of a hedgehog or pins in a pincushion, protruded from the wall in the shape of a cross. Below it, a puddle of dark red. And in front of it were small pieces of something, scattered across the ground like garbage. Seriously, what even was this? The work of some pretentious avant-garde artist? Those sorts of idiots were all over the place. They make gory stuff like this, then spout some bullshit like it depicts the latent chaos of laid bare in this cruel world. No way in hell I'd ever consider that shit art. Still, what a weird image. It hadn't explicitly been gore, but it was definitely borderline. So then, why? Why had it seemed so graphic? Why had it seemed so realistic? Why was I imagining the stench of blood? Why was the stench so strong that it nearly made me choke? It was all in my head, so why did I feel sick to my stomach? I felt a sharp, throbbing pain in my forehead. The nausea wouldn't go away. I desperately reached for my mouse, but my trembling hand knocked it off the desk, leaving it dangling above the floor by its cord. I reeled it back up to the mouse pad and then finally closed the image. But just as I thought it was finally over, my eyes were struck by... Whose eyes are those eyes? How do you know that title? That's the same title of the paper. I glanced at the minimum attendance chart. In the end, I hadn't managed to catch the new Bloodtoon episode live. No big deal, though. Someone had upped it to YouTube after the fact, so I've been able to just watch it there. I still didn't feel any better, though. Those last words Shogun left behind. It was the name of the story that our character... What was his name again? Nishijo Takumi, right? Takumi? It was the It was the name of that story of the paper that Takumi wrote about feeling God's eyes, or feeling eyes watching him. So why did Shogun know? Did Shogun just happen to be someone who looked at that paper? Maybe there was a person who was reviewing said paper. I don't know. It's almost as if he knew about God's gaze and how much it terrified me. It was way too specific for it to just be a coincidence. Maybe someone had leaked some info about me online. Maybe it was another ESO player with a grudge against Nightheart or something. Prodigies like me got a lot of love, so naturally they also got a lot of hate. Well, most haters out there were just jealous. You wouldn't see them around much, but every once in a while, some child would try to start shit because he was jealous of Nightheart's strength and popularity. They weren't worth anyone's time. We've gone off topic now. Anyway, yeah, that Shogun guy really got to me. Earlier I tried logging on to ESO to grind for a little while, but I just couldn't concentrate. And to make matters worse, of all days for this to happen, just had to be a shitty day like this. Oh, school. On top of everything else that happened, I'd also had to go to school today. I seriously didn't want to go, but if I didn't follow the minimum attendance sheet to a T, my calculations would get completely thrown off. Worst case scenario, I'd even have to repeat the year. I'm so tired. I stifled a yawn and started trudging off towards school. A trip that was about 10 minutes from my base on foot. As soon as I started walking, my mood sank even lower. My body grew heavy, and I found it strangely hard to breathe, causing me to break into an uncomfortable sweat. This is what always happened on school days. Going to school was pure suffering. Why did I have to go through this? Grumbling to myself with eyes fixed on the pavement, I kept on walking. I turned to enter Shoto Park. The school was just past it. Over by the lake, an elderly couple was taking their morning stroll. Nearby, a businessman sat on a bench, reading the sports section of the newspaper. For a park on the outskirts of a bustling city like Shibuya, it was surprisingly calm. Definitely a great place to relax. I took a seat on another bench nearby. Before heading into school in the morning, I always came here to eat breakfast. I gazed out toward the peaceful pond. The water surrounded by trees with off-color leaves, their hues slowly changing as autumn rolled in. As per usual, today's menu was just a cream bun that I picked up from the convenience store on the way here. It'd be enough to tide me over until later tonight. I always skipped lunch. Nobody wanted to eat lunch with an otaku freak like me, and there was no way in hell I'd eat alone when surrounded by people eating and chatting together. After washing down my breakfast with some cola, I began staring up at the sky absent-mindedly. No matter the season, the sky above Shibuya was always pretty bleak. My parents only lived a few train stations away, but there was still a clear difference between here and there. Don't get me wrong, I didn't especially mind the bleak sky, but I also couldn't really explain why. I glanced at my watch to check the time. I needed to get going or I'd be late. I had to avoid that outcome at all costs. I only came to school 2 to 3 times a week, so I had to keep a low profile. To make it through school, I had to blend in, to become invisible like the air. The ideal school day was the one where nothing happened, one where I didn't have to deal with any of the teachers or DQing classmates. That was the ultimate goal I shot for, and it would continue to be until the day I finally graduate. This was Suime Private Academy, the school I went to. Apparently, it had only been built around 10 years ago, so it didn't exactly have a rich history or anything like that. Since it still looked brand new, it made a pretty good setting for high school TV shows. On top of that, the school uniforms had apparently been designed by some famous designer. A ton of shallow-ass girls enrolled just so they could wear it. And while they called it a prep school, most students here didn't score much higher than the national average. Even more ironic, though, was that the school slogan was, "Here you'll be free," and yet the school rules were actually really strict. And again, they never actually bothered enforcing those rules. So I guess the slogan wasn't really wrong in the end. I mean, I barely ever showed up, and I passed my classes just fine. If you could get away with that, you could probably get away with anything. As I closed in on the school, I could hear the other students more and more clearly. I wasn't good at dealing with crowds, so I just kept my head low as I slipped through the gate. Nobody talked to me. Nobody talked to me. I repeated those words in my head like a mantra. My younger sister also attended school, though she still lived with my parents. Run into her and any perfectly fine day would turn into a nightmare. Here we are. Luckily, I hadn't run into her this time. I made it to class safe and sound. I rushed over to my seat, being extra careful not to make eye contact with anyone. I could feel a nearby group of girls shoot a glance at me, but thankfully they went right back to chatting afterward. They all thought I was a freak. I was sure of it. Well, from my point of view, you 3Ds... Okie dokie. If you think I'm a freak, then don't look at me. Just pretend I'm not here. Don't acknowledge me at all. If you all just do that, then I won't bother at you either, and I can go about my day in peace. That's why it always confuses me when I see DQNs calling people freaks. I just don't get it. If you think they're such a freak, then why even bother talking to them? Just stay in a corner, and they'll just stay in your corner, and they'll stay in theirs. Regardless, I was just sitting there, looking down at my desk when... Ugh.
Yo, Daku.
Yo, Daku. Someone suddenly clapped me on the back. Startled, I turned to look behind me. Hi there. Didn't know you were coming in today. Oh, Misumi-kun. It was Misumi Daisuke, one of my classmates. He shot a friendly smile from me behind my desk, from beside my desk. The guy was pretty handsome, so all the girls were into him. He was also into them and dated them. A lot of them, usually multiple at a time. If you ask me, he was balls deep into DQN territory. If it were up to me, I'd steer clear of him, but... You're looking as grim as ever. You stay up all night playing games again? Not really. He was the only person in the class who was comfortable talking to me. Though we had absolutely nothing in common, so I had no idea why he bothered. I've been suspicious about it ever since the school year began. If I were a girl, maybe I could understand, but since I was a guy, it made no sense to me. I know it's hard since you're shut in and all, but you should really try to speak up. I would if I could. Just the act of talking to another 3D human was painful. Anxiety made it hard for me to speak naturally. My lack of experience made it hard for me to articulate things. And I was always afraid of being teased for saying something weird. That was why I always shrunk back. I have no idea how much pain I'm going through, so please don't talk like you know me. Also, I'm not a goddamn shut-in. Real shut-in stay in the rooms 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I'm not like that. I mean, I can understand feeling nervous around chicks, but if you keep stirring like that around me, people might start thinking we're gay. Wait, was he just dating girls as a cover? Had he been into guys all along? I tried to back away from him, nearly falling out of my chair in the process, but I quickly grabbed onto my desk to catch myself. How you doing, dude? Misumi-kun, are you gay? What? No way in hell. Did you forget all the chicks I've landed? Right. Phew, that was terrifying. Speaking of landed chicks... Misumi-kun took a quick look around, then lowered his voice and grinned from ear to ear. I just bagged my third girl from this class. Wanna know who? Not really, no. Come on, you can at least pretend to care. It was Tanaka, man! Tanaka! Who's Tanaka? Do you seriously not know the name of our classmates by now? It's nearly October, dude. Well, you say you're not into 3D girls, so I guess it makes sense. Visibly frustrated, he shrugged his shoulders and let out a sigh. Well, interestingly enough, he never insulted my taste in girls, which was, to put it simply, that they had to be from a second dimension. But he never called me a freak for that. He just didn't bother with things that didn't interest him. That was what made me think he may not have been all that bad. He was also the reason why I didn't mind talking to him. Anyway, I've pretty much scored on every cute girl in this class by now. I think it's about time I start heading next door. Okay, maybe he was pretty bad. If a girl overheard some of the shit he said, that she'd be horrified. There's a real hot one in Class D, but it doesn't look like she comes to school much. Ain't got much in the chest, though. Now that I think about it, though, aren't you into black girls anyway? Are you talking about 2D? It's not... Whatever. Alright, new topic. Have you heard about New Gen? I didn't expect to hear those words come out of his mouth. And here I thought he was only capable of thinking about girls. Couldn't even picture him watching news or reading the newspaper. There's been some rumors that the group dive wasn't actually a suicide. What? Yeah, that's what Sports Tokyo said. What, so a source was Sports Tokyo? It kind of erased any and all credibility. Still, I'd already known about that rumor. Not that I cared. Okay, now listen closely. Oh yeah, sorry, excuse me. This is the good part. An eyewitness said the killer's a chick. A real hottie at that, too. A chick? Watching Misumi-kun get so excited, it finally hit me. Why did he suddenly care enough to read Sports Tokyo? Same reason he cares about anything else. Something to do with girls. What a twist. I guess Misumi-kun would even go after serial killers as long as they were cute. I mean, if it were me, I'd take a cute 2D serial killer, but... Misumi-kun stared longingly at the blue sky outside the window. Then for some reason, his face suddenly lit up, as if he'd reached enlightenment itself. Really though, I wonder what kind of person the murderer is. Is she really a cutie? If she is, then I really want to meet her. Yeah, this dude definitely thought exclusively with the wrong head. I know she won't kill me. I mean, look at me. I've got the looks, and chicks dig me. No matter how many 8 people she killed, she'd definitely fall in love with a nice guy like me. And that's why she wouldn't kill you? This guy was so delusional that he gave me a run for my money. The fact that he was able to say all that without even a hint of irony was honestly pretty gross. I don't really care. How you mean you don't really care? You know the killer is somewhere in the city, right? It might even be someone you've met before. Yeah, well, for all I know, you could be the murderer. Okay, probably not. But it was entirely possible that the killer could be one of the students of this very school. If that turned out to be true, maybe I'd use my PTSD as an excuse to come in less often without hurting my attendance. So, want to check out the crime scene with me? It's close enough to walk to from here. I hear they haven't even finished cleaning up the blood yet. Absolutely zero interest in doing that. I just wanted to get through the school in peace. Go home, greet Saratan, and get back to being worshipped like a god in Baselard. Come on, even Kobashi and Hasegawa have gone to see you. I really don't want to. Delusions? I felt bad about turning Misumi-kun down since he seemed so excited about it, but I really did not want to go. So green means a positive delusion, red means a negative delusion, or I could just do neutral. I don't know if that means no delusion or a neutral delusion, but I don't even know what a neutral delusion would be. I guess let's just go neutral. I think I remember hearing that the first playthrough doesn't really matter what you do, so... Again, I'm not using a guide until we get our first ending. Anyways, we're just gonna go with neutral. But even though I was trying my hardest to refuse, he just wasn't listening. Maybe we'll even see the murderer. You said the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime, right? Yeah, maybe she'd pick you as her next victim. To atone for your sins. To atone for your sins, you must die. You know, that kind of thing. As for your sins, though, maybe being a shut-in. A shut-in? I'm not taking some offense at Misumi-kun's choice of words. I almost snapped back at him. But I quickly decided against it when I considered the possibility that he might get upset at me. So I just bit my lip and turned away. And when I did, I noticed there was something written on the blackboard. At first, I didn't really care enough to read what was written there. My mind only registered the fact that something was written there, and not what it was. The longer I gazed at it, the more I realized something was wrong. Huh? Before I knew it, I was out of my chair. Move for a sec. Ow! What was that for?
どうしたんだよ
Is it the word? Yep. I pushed Misumi-kun aside and rushed over to the blackboard. The instant I realized what it said, I felt my heart stop. Whose eyes are those? Those were the words I said to myself whenever I felt God's gaze. I'd never said them out loud before. I hadn't told anyone about them either. Not even Misumi-kun. It didn't matter how often I used it. There was no way anyone in this class could know about my phrase. So who? Why? How? I quickly turned around and scanned the room. The only person paying any attention to me was Misumi-kun. The rest were talking to their friends, reading manga, despite manga being against the rules, or sleeping on their desks. Then who? Who had written it? And when? Had I been there the whole time? Since before I'd even entered the classroom? I couldn't remember. It wasn't like I ever paid attention to the blackboard anyway.
なあどう
Come
した
on,
ん
what's the
だ
matter? Misumi-kun walked up to me, grabbed my shoulder, and gave me a good shake.
聞いてる
Are you even listening?
おーい
Hello,
Dagu.
Dagu. It didn't matter who's written it. It had to be a coincidence. Must have just been a common phrase or something. It was just a stupid, pointless scribble. Yeah, that had to be it. That's terrifying. I tried to convince myself of that, but it was still freaking me out. I still had no clue who'd written it. I'd have to ask everyone in the class to figure that out, and I didn't have anywhere near that kind of courage. Immediately after I thought that, homeroom began, my teacher came in the room. His eyes immediately zeroed in on the words written on the board, and with a quick, "Come on, who wrote this?" he grabbed the eraser and wiped them away. For some reason, I was still a little creeped out, but I tried to just carry on like always. If I let myself get any more scared, I'd probably start thinking that someone was deliberately targeting me. That was ridiculous. It was just a coincidence. In the end, I had to keep telling myself of that until school was over, and when it finally was, I headed toward my usual internet cafe. For an indoor person like me, that cafe was the only hangout spot I enjoyed. Being at the center of Shibuya and all, there were plenty of 3D DQN women and office drones occupying it. But since the rooms were all private, that wasn't an issue. As for the room I was in, it was the one I was always reserved. Room 37, located way in the back. It was pretty inconvenient to get refills, but since very few people ever reserved rooms near the back, it was nice and quiet. Once or twice a week, I'd come here on my way home from school and log into my other ESO account. Nightheart was essentially a celebrity, so this was my way to just relax and enjoy the game. While I did love being treated like a hero all the time, it sure did take its toll. That was why I made another avatar. This one was a female character named Lisa Lot. I hadn't accomplished anything big with her, mainly just made her to help Nightheart look even better by comparison. I played for about 3 hours to blow off some steam, then had some fun messing with my guildmates while talking about hardcore dojins and other random shit. Johnny's term for self-published works, with the most popular being media associated with otaku, such as manga or light novels. They're most often sold at various conventions online. While dojins can feature pornographic content, many do not. By the time I left the cafe, it was already around 9 p.m. Question. Did I see... Is that... DQN? Dokyun? Stupid antisocial delinquents. Got it. There are even more Dokyuns around this time of night. They line the streets like they own the place, stuffing their faces with greasy-ass hamburgers as they let out the most disgusting laughter imaginable. Just looking at them made me want to puke. And what was especially bad? If you just so much as looked at them the wrong way, they'd immediately come and beat the shit out of you. Fucking savages. They weren't human. They were animals. Not fit for civilized society. Just throw them in a slaughterhouse or something. Seriously. Well, I say that, but there's no way I could ever hope to stand up to them myself. So there's no point in trying. Regardless, it was time to get the hell out of Center Guy. What's that? Main Street. The word door can also be used in this way. Okay. Got it. On my way back from that cafe, I always drop by Manga Darake, which is pretty close by, or Animate, which is a bit further off. I decided to check out Animate today, so I head towards the station's south exit. Down that path, there was an instant drop in the number of Dokuns. Man, Center Guy was completely in utter chaos. Just walking through it brought me nothing but pain and suffering. I'd never set foot there again if I could help it. I wish the whole place would just get blown to smithereens. Except at Cafe and Manga Darake, of course. Alright then, time to go browsing for some comics, doujins, or whatever else catches my eye. Oh yeah, that's right. Bloodtoon Volume 5 DVD was coming out soon. Is it available for pre-order yet? If so, I definitely need to get one nailed down. Before I knew it, I found myself in an alleyway in Muriamacho. If I could speak, that'd be pretty cool. The same alley I always took back home from anime. I blinked a couple of times to make sure I wasn't just seeing things. I took a look inside my bag. Nothing inside but the usual. Some textbooks and a handheld game system. I hadn't bought anything from anime today. Strange. Normally I'd never leave anime empty-handed. Oh, whatever. I let out a sigh and continued walking. Shouldn't take me more than 15 minutes to reach my base from here. It was only a short walk from the station, yet the dazzling neon lights and thick crowds had all but vanished. There were the occasional passerby, usually older couples heading to love hotels, or random businessmen heading home. But aside from that, the place was deserted. Hard to believe this was still Shibuya, home of the bustling, Dokun-infested Center Guy. Somehow, it was already nighttime. If that weren't enough, it was especially cloudy tonight, making it even darker than usual since the moonlight couldn't shine through. Here we go again. I walked down this dirty alley more times than I could count. For some reason, walking through it today, I couldn't help but feel as if I stepped into another world. The alley was the same as ever, but it felt like it was the first time I'd ever set foot in it. What's more, the stench of rotting garbage was lingering in the air. The moisture in the atmosphere was so thick that, if I hadn't known any better, I'd have assumed that it must have just been raining. The air was like syrup on my skin. Wait, hold on. What did I say again? Has this happened before?
Wait, did you say again?
Oh yeah, here we go again. Hadn't I felt this sense of jamais vu before? Fuck, was I getting my delusions mixed up with reality or something? This sounded like the kind of nonsense some expert psychiatrist would say on one of those TV talk shows. Well, whatever. The point was, right at that moment, I was feeling a strange sense of jamais vu. I'm pretty sure there is a, not that. Ah, I remember now. But on top of that, I could feel a prickling sensation on the nape of my neck. A sensation I knew very well. The feeling of being watched from the heavens. And I could say for sure that it was no delusion. It felt inescapable. As if no matter where I went, the gaze would follow. There was no doubt in my mind. Somebody was watching me. That was just how powerful the sensation was. I desperately wanted to look behind me. I challenged myself not to. It was a game that I played every once in a while. A test. I called it the "it'll take more than that to make me turn around" game. The aim of the game, obviously, was to avoid turning around. I played it when I heard a weird sound or felt like I was being watched. Whenever I felt the gaze, I tended to imagine some kind of insanely terrifying ghost or monster lurking behind me. Not like I'd ever actually seen anything in the past 17 years, though, even on the occasions when I lost my patience and turned around. Still, I'd always been able to have at least a little bit of fun with it. I'd listen to the wind, raise an eyebrow suspiciously, and say phrases ripped straight out of a manga. That was the only reason why I did it. Because it's fun. Definitely not because I was scared or anything. What do you think you're looking at, bastard? Whose eyes are those? Gotcha. Okay, to be honest, I was really just trying to act calm. Before I knew it, I'd stopped dead in my tracks. I sensed a change in the atmosphere, paralyzing my body in place. I then noticed my face was soaked with sweat, and my knees were shaking. Unable to take it anymore, I turned around, which meant that I'd lost. But thankfully, there was no one behind me, not even a car passing by or something. So why did I feel so uneasy? The ringing in my ears ceased. Okay, I wasn't going crazy. There was a ringing sound. I haven't realized it, but I've been hearing some ringing sound this whole time. But still, until now, I've been completely oblivious to it. And now that I was gone, I couldn't hear anything at all. For a place like Tokyo, this sort of sudden silence seemed completely unreal. It was a sort of perfect silence where you could hear a pin drop if you focused hard enough. So I closed my eyes and listened closely, just to see what I could hear. I still couldn't hear anything at all. That was pretty strange. No, that was definitely strange. There were all sorts of things I should have been hearing. Trains running by, car horns in the distance. Some sort of small noise. So why did I hear nothing? Was something wrong with my ears? I felt compelled to shout, just so I could hear something. I felt like I might go crazy otherwise. But I couldn't do it. The silence was deafening. It made me fear what would happen if I broke it. What's that sound? Suddenly, a single sound resounded through the silent world. I turned my head to look for the source, but instead I found a slew of shining objects scattered across the asphalt. Are those crosses? When I saw them, my body suddenly unfroze. And naturally, perhaps too naturally, I started moving toward them. Driven by curiosity, I picked one up. It was made of metal, with a long, pointy end like a needle. It's more like a stake. A stake? Or a nail, maybe. Whatever it was shaped like a cross, hence my initial confusion. It felt almost phantasmal, like it might float away at any moment. I tightened my grip on it. And the sound continued to reverberate faintly in the distance. A sound cold enough to send chills down my spine, repeating incessantly. Even so, I couldn't help but move toward the source. It was like I was in a trance. Was it just morbid curiosity? Or was I hoping that the noise would save me? That it would grant me salvation from the silent world? You know, this reminded me of that one German folktale. What was it called again? Oh yeah, The Pied Piper of Hamelin. A story in which the sound of one man's pipe lured over 100 children into following him. The clanging sound refused to stop, and the farther I walked, the louder it got. It was coming from farther down the alley, past the corner on my left. I could already tell. If I turned that corner, I would be met with the source of that sound. And yet, I never thought of turning back. Such a thought didn't even cross my mind. It was like my body was moving on its own. And so, I turned the corner, and my eyes struck by vibrant crimson, shining through the darkness. Okay. Hi. My first thought was, where have I seen this art piece before? And my second thought was, it doesn't look very realistic. Maybe I was so shocked that my brain wasn't processing things properly. Normally, when I saw something as terrifying, I'd freeze, scream like a little girl, and piss my pants all at once. The work consisted of spikes arranged on a wall, like the quills of a hedgehog or pins in a pincushion. But when I looked closer, I realized the pincushion was leaking blood. So then, I meant the puddle of crimson below it was blood. The feeble glow of a streetlight just barely reached it, causing the pool to gleam in the darkness. Scattered around were a few shining pieces of what looked like meat. Maybe. I couldn't really tell. I tried to gulp. My throat had gone completely dry. Not a single drop of saliva to be found. And then I realized the thing that was being nailed to the wall was a human corpse. A murder that was far too unnatural, far too brutal, far too immoderate. And the one who'd done it, the one who had nailed these stakes to the wall, was a single girl. As for how I knew that, it was because she was right there, standing in front of her art, holding a bundle of stakes in her blood-soaked hand. I could only see her back from here, so I obviously had no clue what she looked like. What I could tell, though, was that she was wearing a Suime Academy uniform. The stench of rotting garbage was intensifying. I was hit with wave after wave of nausea. I put a hand to my mouth to stop myself from vomiting. I was nearly at my limit. And then it suddenly dawned on me. The case of my deja vu. The answer to the question, where have I seen this before? The picture. Shogun sent me. Without meaning to, I'd said that out loud, without realizing how dangerous or even deadly that mistake could be. In response to my voice, her shoulder twitched slightly. And with that, she slowly turned to face me. Run. I don't like this. In that moment, it was as if her gaze was piercing straight through me. Such desolate eyes. She had just killed someone. At first, she seemed shocked, but her expression quickly changed into a somber smile. And then... Thank goodness. She softly whispered those words. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for what? And why was she smiling at me? I didn't understand. The questions kept piling up to the point where it sent a chill down my spine. And now panicking, I tried averting my eyes. The first thing that came to mind was, I don't want anything to do with this. I mean, for starters, I could hardly make eye contact with regular 3D girls, let alone with psycho killers, and the police would be here soon, and I was hungry. That's why I should just go home. Yeah, I need to get out of here. As fast as humanly possible. If I don't, I'll go insane. Taku. Huh? Suddenly she called me by name. Even though I never told her my name. Even though I never even met her before. I was looking for you. As she looked at me, her lips twisted into a horrifically fearsome smile. Almost like she was a demon. Screaming at the top of my lungs, I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. I hurt to breathe, but I didn't care. I just kept screaming and running as if my life depended on it. At one point along the way, I turned my head to look behind me, but she didn't seem to be chasing me. That was horrifying. I was completely winded. My lungs struggled to shovel air in and out, and my agonized panting echoed throughout my room. I plopped down in my computer chair. My body and clothes were completely drenched in sweat. What the fuck
had just happened. Another one of my delusions? My nausea was becoming unbearable. Trying to alleviate, I grabbed a cola from the fridge and chugged it as fast as I could. The delusion was way too realistic, even for my usual standards, and boy was it gruesome. Too gruesome. I was still out of it. Could a simple delusion really do this to me? No, it definitely couldn't. I felt an uncomfortable sensation in my right hand. I've been clenching my fist so hard, my fingers nearly turned white. I hadn't even noticed until just now. I slowly opened my hand, one finger at a time, all while my heart pounded like a drum. Lying in the palm of my hand was a single steak. Terrified by the sight of it, I instinctively turned and threw it against the wall. That was the steak from before. Well, I definitely did pick one up off the ground earlier, but how was that even possible? Hadn't it all been just a delusion? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It can't be possible. It can't be. It can't be. It can't be. At my wit's end, I started pacing around my room. I needed to figure out whether that nightmare had been real or just an art delusion. That was the plan, at least, until I slipped on a CD case and lost my balance. In a panic, I reached out for something to keep myself from falling flat on the floor. I barely managed to find something to latch onto, but unfortunately, that something was my shelf of waifus. Oh dear. Before I had a chance to regret it, it was already too late. In the end, no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't able to stop myself from falling ass first onto the floor. And to make matters worse, several of my beautifully arranged figures came tumbling down on top of me. God damn it. This was the worst. Everything about this was just the worst. I let out a groan as I rose to my feet. I had to make sure my figures were safe. Shingai Makyo! Your sword! It snapped clean in two. I have to be one of the more expensive ones. I probably paid a premium online for this. God damn it. You're like fucking kidding me. I tried putting the two halves of the blade back together, but I'd never be able to fix it perfectly, even if I used glue. Any value it once had was now gone. Give me a fucking break. Fuck. I turned my chair and kicked it out of sheer rage. Tears began to well up in my eyes. Why did I have to go through all this? What had I ever done to deserve this? I fell to the floor and just sat there for a while, heartbroken, staring dejectedly at my now swordless Igniston. Once the storm of anger and confusion had passed, I found my mind filling with the visions of her face, along with that modern art I'd seen. I had actually been physically holding one of those steaks, which meant it couldn't have been a delusion. It had all been real. I really wanted to deny it, but there was no way I could. By tomorrow, it was sure to be all over the media. I really didn't want anything to do with this nightmare. There was no way associating with that girl, but no, that demon could bring anything but catastrophe for me. Hell, we'd only just met for the first time and there'd already been a disaster. After all, I brought home a critical piece of evidence from that incident. One of the stakes that had been used in the murder. I wouldn't be surprised if that on its own made me a suspect. And if things were already bad enough, the demon had seen my face. There was no way out of this mess. At this rate, the demon was going to... no, forget about that. For now, I should focus on getting things sorted in my head. For my own sake. If I valued my own life, I really need to figure things out. No doubt about it. That picture must have been some sort of advance notice for the murder. Otherwise, there'd be no way the image could have matched up so perfectly with the crime scene. First she edited that image together, then she recreated it in real life, right down to the finest detail.
That was how the crime had happened. No, in her eyes, I bet it was more of a work of art than a crime. She seemed like that kind of psycho, dedicated to finishing any job with nothing but sheer perfection. She's fucked up in the head. Why show that picture to me? And wait, how did she know I was Nightheart? And how the hell did she know my real name? What was I supposed to do? That demon would definitely come to kill me soon. If she already knew my name, email, and all that stuff, then there was a very good chance she knew my home address too. I curled up into a fetal position in my chair. The image of that twisted murder was etched into my mind. How could I stay calm when I could end up that way too? I don't want to die. 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 I don't want to.
All right, it's gonna be A-okay.
Huh? Serotan lay sideways on my desk, facing towards me with a smile.
Taki, all you gotta do is hole yourself up in this nice little room. Just do that, and then the big scary demon can't do nothing to ya. She'll get a cop out of the police any day now anyway. Till then, you can't trust anyone. Don't listen to anything that anyone says. You see, the thing about demons is that they love taking advantage of a weakness in people's hearts. So letting your guard down is a big no-no. I know you can make it through this, Taki.
Sarah.
He runs away, lives to fight another day. I think there was a saying like that. Saying that went like that, right? You should just forget all about the 3D world. Just keep telling yourself it's all got nothing to do with me and you'll feel much better. If it's got nothing to do with ya, then there's no need to worry about it, right? In fact, let me teach you something you're really gonna like. Did you know that shuns are the strongest people in the world? I mean, they never ever see anyone at all, so they can never be attacked by anyone. I mean, their self-defense is the super strongest. But Taki, all you have to do is become a complete shun. Simple, right?
You might be right. It's what I expect from my wife, who I could always count on her to give me the best advice. Having regained my peace of mind, I reached out my hand for Serotan, lightly grasping her by her slim waist. Even as our faces drew closer, her smile never wavered. Thank you, Sarah. I'm feeling a lot better now, thanks to you. You know what? You're right. 3D world can eat shit. And as for that demon girl, I bet she doesn't care that some otaku freak like me saw her anyway. I'm perfectly safe. I can just live on in peace, playing ESO, watching my favorite anime, or whatever else. And everything will be just fine.
Just remember what I said before, Taki. Never let your guard down, you hear?
Yeah, I know. I couldn't trust anyone. I wouldn't listen to a single word they had to say. All I had to do was be cautious of everything in the 3D world. As long as I did that, everything would be just fine. I'm so glad you care that much about me, Sarah. Well then, time to play some ESO and get some life back in me. Ugh. I don't feel like I can sing. Late into the night, the sound of a beautiful voice could be heard throughout Miyashita Park. It was coming from a pedestrian bridge that crossed over Meijidori. A steady flow of cars passed underneath. But in spite of this, the girl known as Fez showed no sign of being affected by the noise. She simply kept on singing, leaning back against the handrail of the bridge.
I think I remember Fez being mentioned in, like, briefly in at some point during the Steins Gate games, I feel.
月夜の光が示された従者よ
On any normal day, if she were to sing on the street in public like this, she would surely attract hundreds of onlookers. But right now, nobody was listening to her sing. Fez was deliberately concealing her presence, blending into the stillness of the night.
この場所へつながる幻の道
This way, she could loiter quietly until the moon left the sky near behind. By doing so, by becoming one with the darkness, she felt as if she could free herself from the corrupt atmosphere of Shibuya, if only for a moment. That was what Fess felt to be true.
叫びはいつしか沈黙に変わって
Suddenly, Fez looked up into the night sky. The clouds covering it were starting to clear up, little by little, leaving space for the moonlight to shine through in their wake. But sadly, any and all starlight was completely drowned out by the dazzling neon of Shibuya.
落ちてゆく安息風に手と手をつないで
Fez halted her song, then slowly reached her hand out toward the sky.
その目
Whose eyes are those eyes? There are those words again. Whose eyes are those eyes? About a day had passed, and I'd spent pretty much every hour of it in Baselard. I even made time to eat. Immersed myself fully into the role of Neidhart, and in the process completely erased every trace of Nishijo Takumi. I think we're going to go ahead and end it here for today. I might start making these episodes of this playthrough a little shorter. That way I can have more of them and prepped in advance. We'll just make an R save. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it here for today. I gotta check audio anyway, so thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and hope to see you all later. Peace.